Here are 20 things that we wish somebody would have told us as beginner golfers that helped us lower our scores, and we're gonna tell you what they are. Stay till the end because the last one is gonna surprise you. The first thing that we wish we were told as beginner golfers is don't hit the ball at the pin every time. The reason you don't want to hit it at the pin every single time on your approach shots, because a lot of times the pin's going to be tucked in a place that's not easily reachable. If you hit it at the pin every time, you're going to get yourself into some situations where you miss the green a lot. If you have a big green like this one, you're going to have a big area to aim for that's not right at the pin, and hitting it in the center of the green is going to have you lower your scores more often than hitting it right at the pin.
Number 2, kind of bouncing off of what Jaden said with situations, don't give yourself a shot over the bunker. With that, you have the chances of topping it into the bunker, or you're trying to get it over the bunker and you end up sculling it past the green.
If you hit it good but comes up short or it's into the wind, you're also going to be in the bunker.
You want to give yourself the best position to score, and putting yourself in front of bunkers is not the right place for that.
That brings us to point number 3. If you have a shot and you hit it in the bunker and it's not the shot you intended, control your mental state. Me personally, I've struggled with this. This is the remnants of my putter. I'm here to say, when you're in a bad mental state, you play worse. So one of the biggest things that you can do to improve your score is, even though it's hard, keep your mental up, keep the vibes up, just be happy.
Now into number 4, get yourself a rangefinder or a rangefinder-esque app. You know, there's apps out there like the Grint, the USGA, stuff that gives you an opportunity to understand how far you're hitting. It's not benefiting anybody to go out there and just try and hit a golf ball because you think it's so far away.
Yeah, don't eyeball your shots. Get the actual yardage, know how far the pin is, know how far it's playing, and hit your shot accordingly. And that kind of brings us into the next tip, know your yardages for your clubs. You know, once you get that rangefinder, once you know the yardage to every pin, the next thing you need to do is go out to a range, practice hitting every club, write down your yardages, take the average, figure out how far you're hitting each club on average so you know that, hey, when I pin this pin, I have 170 yards, that's a perfect 7-iron. Know your yardages, know how far the pin is, that's gonna lower your scores.
Bouncing off of knowing the yardages is having to go into adjusting for slope. You don't need a rangefinder to understand if you're hitting uphill or downhill. If you're hitting up to an uphill green, you're gonna lose distance because you have to get up onto that hill. If you're hitting downhill, you're gonna gain distance because that ball could just travel forever until it eventually hits the ground.
Yep, so uphill shots, take more club, downhill shots, take less club. Brings us into the next point. Speaking of hills and slopes, if the ball is above your feet, chances are you're gonna hit the ball left. If the ball's below your feet, chances are you're gonna hit the ball right. This will help you aim your shots and have a better understanding of where to aim and you know how the ball's gonna react when you hit it depending on the slope of the lie.
Speaking of draws and fades, if you're going out there and you're hitting draws all the time, you know, your ball's just going left, or the other way around, if you're just hitting everything right, it's better to play that rather than try to adjust for it. Because if you try to adjust for it, you're putting unnecessary information into your brain while you're in the middle of a round.
Yeah, do the shot fixing after the round, not during the round. Fix your swing during practice, not during a round. All right, point number 8 is keep the ball in bounds. The easiest way to lower your score is to not have to take any drops or have to take any shots. So keep the ball in bounds. And what we mean by that is don't cut every corner. You're gonna find a lot of holes or a lot of situations where you can cut a corner or take driver and swing out of your shoes to hit it further. You don't want to do that because 70% of the time you're not going to get it over. So if you're trying to hit hero shots, you're going to add strokes to your game, and that's not going to help us out.
A 100-yard shot from the fairway is so much better than maybe an 80-yard shot from under a tree in the vescue or even in the really thick rough. Set yourself up for success so you can put yourself in scoring positions. That's the biggest thing. We're trying to shave strokes off, not add more.
So that brings us into swinging faster doesn't always mean hitting it further. If you haven't seen our video, I'll link it right here, but we go into depth in a 4-minute video on why swinging slower actually helps get more distance and hit the ball straighter. So don't always feel like you have to swing out of your shoes to hit the ball.
Don't let your ego take way, and don't be afraid to club up. If you think you have to hit a 9 about anywhere above 100%, go ahead and take that 8. Set yourself up for success. Don't try and muscle it so hard that you end up chunking it, thinning it, whatever. And next thing you know, now you still have a far shot and you missed your chance for an approach shot.
Definitely practice those, 75, 80, 85, 90% swings. That way, if you have to club up, take a lower club, you can swing 75% and you know how far that shot's gonna go as well. Next point, one of the hardest shots in golf is the 50-yard and in shot. Approach shots from 50 yards, 60 yards, 40 yards, 30 yards. Those are really hard shots because, they're one club, generally, a 60-degree shot. And you have to hit each one with a different swing, hit at different yardages, but you're using one club. So when practicing, those are the shots you need to practice most. Shots from 50 yards and in with one wedge, and then, you know, around the green, practice your chipping, stuff like that. One of the easiest ways to improve your score as a beginner is getting up and down. You're not gonna hit every green, so being able to get up and down with a chip and a putt, that'll save a lot of strokes off your game.
So the next point, reading your putt from both sides. The best thing you can do when you're putting on a green that happens to be more undulated than anything is to understand which way it's going from every direction. It'll give you the most information in your head to really adjust your putt and line your putt up, which leads us into our next point.
Line your putt up every single time. Every single ball has some sort of line on it, so be sure that once you got that line, you got that read, you visualize where that ball's gonna go, where the putt's gonna go, and you line the line up through it. If you stand over it and you don't feel comfortable with the line, don't just hit it. You don't want to be unconfident in any of your shots. You want to have 100% confidence in all your putts. So line it up from both sides, read it from both sides, and hit a confident putt through your line.
Speaking of line, right now especially is a big thing, but it happens all year round. Clean your line. Right now, with it being fall, you're gonna get leaves in your way, you're gonna get little pine needles, stuff like that.
Especially those helicopters.
The helicopters are big too. Clean your line. Anything and everything will affect the path of your ball.
Yep.
If you hit the smallest little pebble, that knocks your ball offline. Granted, you're not gonna be able to clean everything off, and if you're not playing at a super pristine course, the greens might be a little rough. There's not much you can do about it other than just clean up that line, give yourself a good line, good idea of what you're gonna be putting over.
Little bonus thing, clean your putter face as well. One little pebble of sand on your putter face will jar where the ball starts. It can, you know, start at 2 inches left or 2 inches right if you hit the ball on a little piece of sand. So clean your putter face. And speaking of cleaning your clubs, takes us to the next point, making sure your wedges and all your clubs are clean. They have grooves for a reason. You should clean them after every shot, especially your wedges, your 60 degree, 56, 58, 60, whatever you got, clean all your wedges. If you think about it, the reason that wedges, you know, need spin is because the loft is already so far, you know, lofted, pointing towards the sky, that if it's not clean, it's just gonna slide under the ball. You want the friction between the club and the ball that's gonna grab the ball and shoot it more out. So if you feel like you're losing distance on your 60 degree and your wedges, clean them, because on average, one little speck or one little blemish on a wedge face actually launches the ball 4 degrees higher and 10 yards shorter. So clean your club faces.
Next point, do not hit off mats. Now, there are times where you really don't have an option. Say if you're out golfing and the ground's super wet, you know, the driving range will hit you off of mats regardless. The reason why you don't want to hit off mats is because it's almost like it's giving you artificial stats, okay? You know, the way that ball reacts off the club face is pretty darn pure. It's almost so pure to its unrealistic state of having natural physics involved, grass, debris, leaves, stuff like that. So hitting off a mat is not going to give you the best idea of how far your irons are going, what they're going to do, stuff like that. So if you can, hit off the ground, hit off a nice flat lie.
Yeah, those mats a lot of times make it almost impossible to chunk a ball. So if you think about it, when you hit behind a mat, the mat doesn't, you know, fold over like turf would. It's just gonna bounce the club or let it slide into the ball. So chances are 99% of the time you're gonna hit the ball pure off of mats, and it's not gonna be realistic. So you're never hitting off a mat on a golf course, so don't practice off the mats when you have the option to. Last but not least, our final point that you waited so long for is don't be afraid to take a lesson. You know, I think both of us, we all have the ego. We don't want to take lessons because it's like frowned upon, but that's one of the quickest ways to improve your game is have somebody who knows game and who knows the game of golf teach you. So don't be afraid to take a lesson, and don't be afraid to improve your game. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.